I want to cover the idea of a deployment rollback. So the idea of a deployment rollback is like I've been saying in the other lessons, and that's the idea that we can go backwards. So if we have these steps, let's say that we have step 1, and then that moves on to step 2, and then step 3, 4, and then let's say 5 is where it's fully deployed and working. So at this point, what we need to do is we need to look at the steps that we're going to be using to deploy our new update. And then we need to look for a point of no return. If we know the point of no return, we know whether we should push onwards, work through the errors, and see if we can't make it to the other side, or if we should turn back. In every step of the deployment process, we need to make a decision of whether rollback is a better option. So we need to have options on ways to roll back on every one of these steps, and also on some of the big errors that might happen. How do we revert back to, maybe this one is the beginning here, the master branch. How do we get back to master? So we're trying to make it from 5 to, let's say, we'll put this over here, 2.0. So we're trying to make it through the steps over to 2.0, and we have master here. So what we're trying to figure out is at each one of these steps, what are the ways that we can turn back? What are the decisions that we need to make on whether we should continue onwards or to turn back? Let's say that we say our point of no return is at step 3, right after step 3. And the reason that this is important to know is that this is the point where it takes longer to go back than it does to just continue through. Maybe we've already spent more time than we were thinking at the beginning, but we're already at step 3. We now know that there is no reason that we need to go back because that's going to take even longer than it would to just continue and make it on or make it over to 2.0. So in this situation, if we knew our point of no return, instead of someone calling off the deployment, we would say keep pushing forward. We're actually very close to finishing the deployment off. Now at any point, if there's an error, we should roll back to the beginning, no matter how long it's going to take. We don't want to deploy, a completely and totally broken piece of software. And also, at each one of these steps, we need to make a decision of whether rollback is a better option. Let's say that we anticipated this one to take 30 minutes, this one an hour, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, something like that. If we are going past this and this has already taken 2 hours, maybe we don't want to continue past over here. Maybe we've already figured out that our plan was, if this is taking 4 times as long as we anticipated, our plan isn't very good. So we should probably roll it back to the master and recreate our plan so that we don't end up spending, 8 hours on downtime when we're only anticipating just around an hour. And so that's very important, is after every step to make sure that we need to, if we need to roll back, if rollback is a better option. But just to keep the idea of deployment rollback in mind, we'll create better plans for deployment. A lot of people will they won't even plan the deployment, or they will come up with a plan, but they don't ever come up with a plan of how to go back. And going back is, again, the most important part of the deployment process. It's to ensure that we don't break everything, that we can start over, come up with a new plan, and do it again. So deployment rollback, definitely keep that in mind when you're making your deployment plan.